My name is Nora Bennett, and the morning I stopped being the dependable daughter began with 17 missed calls glowing on a hospital screen. I had been unconscious for less than 3 hours. My 8-year-old son and 6-year-old daughter had been sitting alone in the entrance lobby of my parents' condominium building, beside 2 packed backpacks and a locked glass door that opened directly onto a busy street. My parents, the people who had promised to protect them while I underwent surgery, had driven away without telling me, without arranging another adult, and without leaving so much as a note. A woman walking her elderly terrier found my children. My son had positioned himself between his little sister and the front entrance because he was afraid someone from the street might come inside. My daughter had cried until she hiccuped. When the woman asked where their grandparents were, my son said, "Grandma told us not to make trouble." I learned all of this while still wearing a surgical cap, with adhesive monitors stuck to my chest and the bitter taste of anesthesia coating my tongue. Then I called my mother. She answered as if I were interrupting a pleasant lunch. What she said during that call ended 34 years of excuses. By sunset, I had changed the locks, removed my parents from every school and medical authorization connected to my children, contacted an estate attorney, and started building a life in which nobody was allowed to call neglect a family misunderstanding. Before I tell you what my mother said, and what happened when she tried to let herself into my home with the key she no longer had the right to use, you need to understand who I had been in my family. I was the daughter who solved things. My younger sister, Vanessa, was the daughter things were solved for. That difference shaped every room we entered. I am 34 years old. I work as a respiratory therapist at Cedar Grove Medical Center, mostly in pediatric intensive care. My husband, Ethan, is a structural engineer. He is patient in the way strong buildings are patient. He listens before he speaks, notices pressure before something cracks, and never mistakes silence for peace. We have 2 children. Milo is 8. He collects facts about storms and can tell you the difference between a watch and a warning. He worries quietly, usually with his hands in his pockets. Sadie is 6. She sings when she brushes her teeth, sleeps with a stuffed fox named Copper, and believes every adult she loves will keep every promise they make. Until that Friday, I wanted her to keep believing it. My surgery was supposed to be uncomplicated. A laparoscopic procedure to remove an ovarian cyst that had been growing for months. It caused sharp pain that folded me in half between hospital rounds. But because I could still work, make lunches, answer emails, and drive children to school, everyone around me treated it as inconvenient rather than serious. That was another pattern in my life. If I remained functional, nobody considered me hurt. The surgeons scheduled the procedure for a Friday morning. Ethan had to be in Minneapolis that week for the final inspection of a pedestrian bridge his firm had worked on for 2 years. He offered to cancel the trip immediately. "I'll tell them there's a family emergency," he said. "It's not an emergency," I answered. "It's outpatient surgery. You'll be under general anesthesia. My parents can keep the kids for a few hours." He studied me from across the kitchen island. Ethan has a way of looking at me when I use the word can, but mean should. "Are you sure?" "Yes." "About the surgery or your parents?" I gave him the smile I had used since childhood, the one that closed a subject without resolving it. They love the kids. That was true. What I did not say was that love, in my family, had always been treated as an emotion rather than a responsibility. My mother, Carolyn Pierce, loved dramatically. She gave long birthday speeches, signed cards with 3 exclamation points, cried during television commercials, and told strangers in grocery store lines how proud she was of her daughters. But when love required her to sit in an uncomfortable chair, rearrange an appointment, arrive on time, or choose one daughter over the other, her feelings became strangely impractical. My father, Glenn, loved quietly. At least that was the explanation I was given. He did not yell. He did not insult me. He did not openly favor Vanessa. He simply followed my mother wherever she pointed, carrying coats, paying bills, and avoiding every conflict until avoidance became its own decision. Vanessa was 29 and planning a September wedding that had already consumed the family for almost a year. There were engagement photographs, venue tastings, floral consultations, dress appointments, invitation proofs, rehearsal dinner menus, and a bridal shower my mother discussed with the intensity of a military operation. I had been assigned several jobs. I was managing RSVPs. I was assembling welcome bags for out-of-town guests. I was supposed to create a spreadsheet tracking dietary restrictions. I was also expected to provide free childcare for 2 of Vanessa's bridesmaids during the rehearsal dinner. No one had asked whether I wanted to do those things. They had simply discovered that I was capable of doing them. 2 weeks before surgery, I called my mother. "Mom, the hospital moved my procedure to 7:30 in the morning. Could I bring Milo and Sadie over around 6? "Of course you can," she said immediately. My mother was excellent at immediate answers. "Ethan will still be out of town. The procedure should take about 90 minutes, but recovery could be a few hours. Stop worrying. Your father and I are perfectly capable of watching our grandchildren." "I know. I just need you to stay with them until I call." "Nora, honestly, we raised 2 children." That statement should have reassured me. Instead, it made something tighten behind my ribs. Still, I thanked her. The night before surgery, I prepared everything as if I were admitting 2 small patients. I packed clothes, toothbrushes, Sadie's stuffed fox, Milo's library book, allergy medication, insurance cards, emergency numbers, snacks, water bottles, and a printed page explaining their routines. Milo gets quiet when he is scared. Sadie says her stomach hurts when she is anxious. No tree nuts. Milo can use my old phone to call Ethan. Sadie needs copper if she naps. I placed everything inside a navy blue zippered binder I normally used for school records. It had plastic sleeves, labeled sections, and a small inside pocket where I tucked $20 in cash. Ethan watched me from the doorway while I checked the contents for the 3rd time. "You're preparing them for 5 hours, not a wilderness expedition." "I know." "Your mother has their pediatrician's number." "I know." "She has your number." "I know." He walked over and closed the binder beneath my hands. "Nora." I looked at him. "You're allowed to need people." I do need people. No, you organize people, that's different. I wanted to argue. Instead, I leaned into him and let him hold me. At 5 the next morning, he left for the airport. He kissed the children while they slept and made me promise to text before the anesthesiologist took my phone. At 6:10, I carried the binder, 2 backpacks, and a sleepy 6-year-old into the parking garage beneath my parents' condominium. Milo walked beside me in a dinosaur sweatshirt, asking whether surgeons ever sneezed during operations. They wear masks, I told him. That doesn't stop a sneeze. It helps contain it. What if the doctor has a giant sneeze? Then I'm sure there's a medical plan for that. Sadie lifted her head from my shoulder. Don't let them sneeze on you, Mommy. I'll mention it. My parents lived on the 4th floor of a tan condominium building called Lakeside Terrace, though there was no lake anywhere nearby. The lobby had pale tile, artificial plants, brass mailboxes, and a glass entrance secured by a keypad after 8 at night. My father was waiting by the elevator. He wore gray sweatpants and a flannel shirt, and he smelled like coffee. There are my little troublemakers, he said. Milo did not smile. Sadie tightened her arms around my neck. Morning, Dad. He took the backpacks, but not the binder. Your mother's making cinnamon toast. We rode upstairs together. When the elevator doors opened, my mother stood in the hallway wearing cream trousers, a silk blouse, and pearl earrings. At 6:15 in the morning, I noticed. I wish I could say I understood what it meant. Why are you dressed up? She kissed the air beside my cheek. I always get dressed before breakfast. My mother had worn a bathrobe until noon every Christmas morning of my childhood. But I was tired, nervous, and trying not to think about being intubated. I handed her the binder. Everything S in here. Their insurance information, numbers, medication. Nora, I know how to care for children. I'm not saying you don't. It feels like you are. I'm having surgery, Mom. I'm trying to make sure everyone has what they need. She smiled, but irritation moved behind it. We have everything under control. Sadie still would not let go of me. I crouched, ignoring the pain in my lower abdomen. Mommy will call as soon as she wakes up. Promise. I promise. Before lunch. I'll try. Will you come back today? Yes, sweetheart. My mother's phone chimed from the kitchen counter. She turned her head too quickly. On the screen, I saw Vanessa's name and a string of pink heart emojis. What does Vanessa need this early? My mother picked up the phone and turned it over. Nothing important. That was the first lie of the day. I kissed Milo's forehead. Help Yo. Our sister if she gets worried. His expression changed. Not much. Just enough. He had heard that sentence too many times. He was 8 years old, and I had already begun assigning him the role my family assigned me. Be easy. Be useful. Do not become another problem. I touched his cheek. Actually, you don't have to take care of anything. Grandma and Grandpa are in charge. He looked toward them. My father gave him a thumbs up. My mother was typing something on her phone. I should have taken my children with me. I should have called the hospital and postponed the surgery. I should have listened to the part of myself that had spent decades learning the difference between my mother's promises and her behavior. But people who grow up with unreliable love become experts at arguing against their own instincts. I told myself I was anxious because of the procedure. I told myself my parents would never risk their grandchildren. I told myself Vanessa's message was unrelated. Then I hugged my children, placed the blue binder on my mother's kitchen table, and left. At Cedar Grove, I checked in through an entrance I normally used for patients' families. The lobby looked unfamiliar from the wrong side of the desk. A volunteer fastened a white identification band around my wrist. A nurse named Priya brought me to preoperative holding, where I changed into a gown and folded my clothes into a plastic bag. Priya recognized me from the pediatric unit. "Not used to being the one in bed?" she asked. "Not even slightly. Anyone waiting for you? My parents have my kids. My husband is out of town, but he'll be reachable." She looked at the intake form. "Who is driving you home?" "My father." That was the plan. My father would pick me up after I was discharged. My mother would stay with the children. We had discussed it twice. I texted him from the hospital bed. "Procedure starting soon. I'll message when I'm awake. Please keep your phone nearby." He replied with a thumbs-up emoji. Then I texted Ethan. "Going in. Kids safe with my parents. Love you." His response came seconds later. "Love you. Call the moment you wake up." The anesthesiologist introduced himself and explained the medication. I nodded through information I had heard hundreds of times while helping frightened parents understand what would happen to their children. The operating room was cold. The surgical lights looked like white flowers opening over my face. Someone placed a warm blanket across my legs. "Think of somewhere peaceful," the anesthesiologist said. I thought of our kitchen on Sunday mornings. Ethan making pancakes. Milo reading cereal boxes. Sadie standing on a chair to stir orange juice with a wooden spoon because she said it tasted better that way. My family. The 4 people I trusted completely. I remember thinking, my children are safe. Then the room disappeared. When I woke, it was 2:40 in the afternoon. At first, I understood nothing except pain and sound. A blood pressure cuff tightened around my arm. A monitor chirped beside me. Someone in the next recovery bay asked repeatedly what day it was. My throat felt scraped raw. My lower abdomen burned beneath surgical dressings. Priya appeared over me. "You're awake. Everything went well." I tried to speak. "Kids. They're with your family, right?" I nodded. "Your phone is in the drawer. Let me check your vital signs before you reach for it." The moment she opened the drawer, I saw the screen flashing. 17 missed calls. 9 text messages. 4 voicemails. Every call was from the same, unfamiliar number. My body went cold beneath the heated blanket. "Can I have that?" "Give yourself a minute." "Please." Something in my voice made her hand it over. The first message had arrived at 11:58. Hello, this is Miriam Calder from Lakeside Terrace. I found your children in the lobby. Please call me. The second came 6 minutes later. They are safe with me in apartment 212. Your son knows my name from the building garden club. Please call as soon as possible. The third. Your daughter is very upset. I have tried the numbers in the binder, but nobody is answering. The binder. My stomach dropped so hard that for a second I thought I might vomit. I opened the voicemail. An older woman spoke carefully. Nora, this is Miriam Calder. We've met a few times in the elevator. I was coming back from walking Benny, and I found Milo and Sadie sitting near the front doors with their bags. Milo said your parents left and told them to wait downstairs because the apartment door would lock behind them. I have them with me. They are physically fine. Please call. I pressed the call button before listening to the others. She answered immediately. Nora. Yes, this is Nora. Are they with you? Oh, thank goodness. Yes, they're here. Her voice was steady, but I heard the strain beneath it. What happened? I was hoping. You could tell me. I'm at the hospital. I just woke up from surgery. Silence. Then very softly, oh, sweetheart. I closed my eyes. Tell me exactly what you saw. I took Benny out around 11:30. When I returned, Milo and Sadie were in the lobby. Milo had the backpacks and that blue binder. Sadie was crying. The outer door had opened several times while they were sitting there. Delivery drivers, residents, people I didn't recognize. My fingers tightened around the phone. How long had they been alone? Milo said about 20 minutes, but children estimate time poorly. He said your grandmother, your mother, told them she and your father would be back soon. Did they say where they went? There was a hesitation. Milo heard something about photographs. My incision throbbed with each heartbeat. Can I talk to him? A rustle. Then my son's voice. Mom. I'm here, baby. Did the doctors sneeze? The question almost broke me. No, they were very professional. Are you hurt? I'm sore, but I'm okay. Are you and Sadie safe? Yes. What did Grandma say before she left? Milo lowered his voice, as though my mother might still hear him. She said Aunt Vanessa's photographer changed the time. She said we should watch cartoons, but Grandpa said they couldn't leave us upstairs because we might touch something. So they took us to the lobby. My mind struggled to arrange the words. They brought you downstairs. Yes. And left. Grandpa said they would come back before the long hand moved to the 12. The long hand. An hour. They had explained their absence using a clock. Why didn't you call me? Your phone didn't work. I was asleep for surgery. I know. I called Grandpa 7 times. My father had not answered. Did you call Grandma? She left her phone in the car the first time. Then it went straight to the message. I breathed through my nose, slow and controlled, the way I coached children before painful procedures. Put Miriam back on. When she came to the phone, I thanked her. You don't need to thank me for bringing 2 children inside. Yes, I do. I gave them grilled cheese. Your son insisted on cutting his sister's sandwich because she doesn't like the crust touching. Of course he had. Even after I corrected myself that morning, he had still become the responsible one. Please keep them there. I'll arrange someone to pick them up. You cannot drive after anesthesia. I know. It was not true that I knew. I knew the instruction. I had not yet accepted that I had nobody available to follow it. Is there someone I should call? She asked. My husband is in Minneapolis. What about your parents? I looked at the 17 missed calls, the unanswered messages, and the thumbs up emoji from my father. I'm going to find them. I ended the call and dialed my mother. She answered on the fourth ring. Music played behind her. Glasses clinked. Someone laughed. Nora, you're awake. How did everything go? Where are Milo and Sadie? The pause. My mother had several kinds of silence. There was offended silence, designed to make you apologize. There was wounded silence, designed to make you reassure her. And there was calculating silence, when she searched for the version of events most likely to survive. This was the third kind. There with someone in the building. Who? That gardening woman, Miriam. You left my children in the lobby. We did not leave them in the street. They are 6 and 8 years old. They were perfectly safe. The front door opens every time a resident enters. Nora, do not become hysterical while you're still medicated. I looked at the monitor beside my bed. My heart rate had climbed. Priya stepped closer. Where are you? I asked. We're at the Riverstone Hotel. Why? Vanessa's bridal photographer had an opening. The weather is beautiful, and the terrace light is perfect. I could not speak. My mother continued, filling the silence as she always did when reality became inconvenient. The original session was supposed to be next month, but the photographer is traveling. Vanessa was devastated. Your father and I only planned to help her with the dress and veil for an hour. Then the photographer suggested lunch because the hotel offered us a private table. You left my children for bridal photographs. We were not far. You didn't answer Milo. My phone was in my purse. Dad didn't answer either. He was helping carry the garment bags. I closed my eyes. A nurse removed an oxygen sensor from my finger. Somewhere nearby, a patient groaned. I was surrounded by strangers doing their jobs carefully, while the people I had trusted were drinking lunch cocktails beneath terrace lights. You knew I was unconscious. You were in a hospital full of professionals. And my children. They had each other. There it was. The sentence that divided my Ife into before and after. Vanessa had one chance, Nora. Your children had each other. My son was 8. My daughter was 6. My mother believed their ability to comfort each other relieved her of the duty to protect them. I counted 3 beats on the heart monitor before answering. You are never going to be alone with my children again. Oh, for heaven's sake. I mean it. You're emotional because of the anesthesia. I'm clearer than I have ever been. We made a judgment call. You made a choice. Vanessa's wedding photographs cannot simply be rescheduled. My surgery could not be paused because you wanted terrace lighting. Stop making this a competition between you and your sister. I almost laughed. My mother had turned my entire childhood into that competition and then accused me of noticing the score. Do not go to my house, I said. Do not pick the children up. Do not contact their school. I'll arrange everything. Nora, you are being cruel. My children were found by a stranger. Miriam is not a stranger. We know her from the garden committee. Sadie didn't know her last name. She knows ours. That answer told me everything. My mother was not sorry. She was still building a defense. I ended the call. Priya stood beside the bed, holding a cup of water. Are your kids safe now? Yes. Do you have someone trustworthy who can get them? I thought of every name on my phone. My parents were disqualified. Vanessa was with them. Ethan was 2 states away. My closest friend, Lee, was teaching at a school 40 minutes from the hospital and could not leave 24 third graders without coverage. Our regular babysitter was at college. Then I remembered Ethan's older sister, Camille. She lived outside the city, almost an hour away, and had 2 children of her own. We were friendly but not close, not because she had ever been unkind, because I rarely asked anyone for help long enough to become close. I called her. She answered while I was still rehearsing an apology. Nora, are you out of surgery? How did you know? Ethan told me. I need help. I had said those 3 words perhaps 5 times in my adult life. They felt enormous. Camille's voice changed immediately. What happened? My parents left the kids alone at their building. A neighbor has them. I'm still in recovery and I can't drive. Give me the address. I'm sorry. I know you're working and... Nora, address. I gave it to her. I'll pick up the kids, then come to the hospital. Do you need clothes, medication, food? The ease of her response made my eyes sting. I have clothes. You have hospital clothes. I'm bringing comfortable ones. You don't have to. I know. She arrived at Lakeside Terrace 45 minutes later. Miriam called to tell me the children were leaving with her. Camille then drove them to her house, fed them pasta, and let them play in the backyard with their cousins while she came to the hospital to collect me. She did not ask me to minimize what had happened. She did not say my parents had meant well. She did not remind me that family makes mistakes. She entered my recovery bay carrying a soft sweater, loose trousers, ginger tea, and anger so controlled it made her movements precise. Ethan knows, she said. I stared at her. You told him. He called me while I was driving. I wasn't going to lie. My phone rang before she finished the sentence. Ethan. I answered. Tell me the children are safe, he said. They're with Camille's family. And you. Still at the hospital. What did your parents do? I gave him the facts. Not my interpretation. Not my childhood. Just the facts. They had dressed the children. Taken them downstairs. Left them in the lobby. Driven to the Riverstone Hotel. Ignored calls. Posed for photographs. Stayed for lunch. When I finished, Ethan was quiet. The quiet lasted long enough that I checked whether the call had disconnected. "I'm booking a flight," he said. "You have the final inspection tomorrow." "I don't care." "Your name is on the report." "My name is also on our children's birth certificates." Camille looked away, giving me privacy. "I can handle tonight," I said. "This isn't about whether you can." "I know." "Do you?" The question was not unkind. That made it harder. "I'm learning." He exhaled. "I can get the first flight in the morning. Camille said she'll stay with you tonight." I looked at her. She nodded. "I don't want to inconvenience everyone." Ethan's voice softened. "Nora, your parents left our children in a public lobby because Vanessa wanted bridal portraits. You are allowed to inconvenience people who love you." I covered my eyes with my hand. "We'll talk when I'm home," he said. "Do not answer your mother again tonight." I wasn't planning to. Good. The hospital discharged me after 6. Camille drove me to her house first. When Sadie saw me, she ran across the living room. Camille caught her gently before she crashed into my abdomen. "Slow hug," she reminded her. Sadie approached with both arms extended and pressed herself against my legs. "You came back." The words were simple. The fear inside them was not. "I told you I would." Grandma didn't. I looked over Sadie's head at Milo. He stood near the doorway, holding the blue binder against his chest. He had not let it go. "I saved all our things," he said. "You did." And I remembered the emergency number. "You did everything right." Grandpa said not to make a scene. My throat tightened. "You should always make a scene when you're not safe." He studied my face. "Even if grown-ups get mad." Especially then. That night, after the children fell asleep in Camille's guest room, I opened the blue binder. The plastic sleeves were bent. A corner of the cover had been scraped against the lobby tile. Inside, beside the emergency contacts, Milo had drawn a map. A square for the lobby. 2 circles for him and Sadie. A red line toward Miriam's apartment. At the top, in careful block letters, he had written, "Plan if they don't come back." I pressed my fingers against the page. For years, I had believed the damage in my family belonged to me. I could absorb it, translate it, keep it from spreading. But children notice where adults place them. Milo had already begun planning for abandonment. Sadie had already begun asking whether people returned. The pattern had reached them. That was the moment I stopped wondering whether I was overreacting. At 8:30, after Camille went upstairs, I opened Vanessa's social media page. I had muted her months earlier because every conversation about her wedding left me feeling like an unpaid employee. The first image appeared immediately. Vanessa stood on the Riverstone Hotel terrace in a white satin dress, her veil lifted by the wind. My mother held the train. My father stood beside a rack of garment bags. The photograph had been posted at 12:12. The caption read, "When your dream team saves the day." The second post was a short video uploaded at 1:37. My mother raised a champagne glass toward the camera. "To the bride," she said. My father laughed behind her. Vanessa turned the camera toward a table covered with flowers and small plates. In the lower corner of the screen, I saw my father's phone lying face down beside his glass. The same phone Milo had called 7 times. I saved the video. Then I noticed a comment beneath the photograph. Someone had asked, "Wasn't today your sister's surgery?" Vanessa had replied, "She's fine. Mom had already committed to helping me if the appointment changed." Already committed. Not last minute. Not an unexpected emergency. My mother had agreed to watch my children while secretly promising Vanessa she would leave if the photographer called. The betrayal had been planned before I delivered the blue binder. Before Sadie clung to my neck. Before my father sent the thumbs-up emoji. I took screenshots of everything and printed them using Camille's office printer. She came downstairs when she heard the machine. "What are you doing?" "Documenting." "For what?" "I don't know yet." She looked at the screenshots, then at the binder. "Do you want advice?" I almost said no automatically. Then I stopped myself. "Yes." "Do not make decisions tonight because you want them to understand. Make decisions based on what keeps your children safe, even if they never understand." I looked at the video, still of my mother raising a glass. What if they tell everyone I'm cruel? They will. Her certainty surprised me. Camille sat across from me. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries experience boundaries as betrayal. I slid the screenshots into the binder. The next morning, Ethan came home. He entered Camille's house shortly after 9, still wearing the clothes from his flight. Milo ran to him. Sadie followed, crying before she reached his arms. Ethan held both children and closed his eyes. Then he looked at me. I expected anger. Instead, I saw fear. He had spent the entire flight imagining what might have happened in that lobby. A stranger could have led them outside. Sadie could have followed someone through the door. Milo could have tried to walk to our house. They could have wandered into the parking garage. Neglect is often described by what happened. Parents know it is also measured by what almost happened. When the children went outside with their cousins, I gave Ethan the binder. He read the messages, the map, the screenshots. He watched the video twice. "They knew in advance," he said. "Yes." "Your mother knew Vanessa might call." "Yes." "And she still took the children." "Yes." He closed the binder. "What do you want to do?" The question mattered. He did not tell me what I should do with my family. He not ask me to protect him from conflict. He asked what I wanted. I want them removed from everything. Everything. School pickup, medical consent, emergency contacts, the will, the house keys, alarm codes, everything. He nodded once. "Then that's what we'll do." We returned home that afternoon. My parents had been there. A grocery bag hung from the front doorknob. Inside were soup, crackers, and a card. The card said, "Rest and recover. We'll discuss your behavior when you feel more rational." Love, Mom and Dad. Ethan read it. Then he tore it in half. He almost never destroyed anything. He reused wrapping paper and kept instruction manuals for appliances we no longer owned. Watching him tear that card told me exactly how frightened he had been. My phone contained 19 messages. The first from my mother was sweet. "Honey, call when you've had some sleep. I know yesterday felt upsetting." The second was defensive. "I hope you understand. We truly believed the children were secure." The third blamed me. "You should have arranged professional childcare if you required constant supervision." The fourth invoked family. "Your father is heartbroken by the way you spoke to us." My father had sent one message. "Please stop escalating this." Vanessa had sent 6. "Are you seriously blaming me?" I didn't know they would leave the kids downstairs. Mom said they were safe. "You're making my wedding about you." She has been crying all night. Call her. There was no message asking whether Milo or Sadie were frightened. It's not one. At 10 Monday morning, a locksmith replaced the front and back deadbolts, reprogrammed the garage opener, and changed the code on the side entrance. My parents had keys because they watered our plants during vacations. My father also knew the garage keypad code. The locksmith asked whether I wanted 6 copies. 3, I said. 1 for me. 1 for Ethan. 1 for Camille. When he handed me the new keys, they felt strangely ceremonial. No speech. No confrontation. Just metal cut into a shape the old key could not imitate. I placed the old keys inside the blue binder beside the screenshots. Then I changed every password my parents knew. The streaming accounts. The family calendar. The children's school portal. The emergency app on Milo's phone. The security company asked me to choose a new verbal passphrase. For years, it had been Vanessa's middle name because my mother suggested it. I changed it to Copper after Sadie's stuffed fox. That afternoon, Ethan and I went to the children's school. The front office administrator, Mrs. Alvarez, pulled their records onto her screen. "Carolyn and Glenn Pierce are listed as authorized pickup contacts," she said. "Would you like to update their phone numbers?" "I want them removed." Her fingers stopped above the keyboard. "Both of them?" "Yes." "Is there a custody concern?" "No, a safety concern." She looked at Milo and Sadie's photographs on the screen. "I'll add a note that they may not receive information or remove either child from campus. Please add Vanessa Pierce too." "My sister." "Understood." The word was professional, but her expression was not. She had seen families reach this point before. She printed the authorization form. 3 familiar names appeared in black ink. Carolyn Pierce, maternal grandmother. Glenn Pierce, maternal grandfather. Vanessa Pierce, maternal aunt. Beside each name was a box labeled Remove. I checked them one by one. The scratching of the pen sounded louder than it should have. My mother had been present at Milo's school orientation. My father had attended one field day. Vanessa had once picked Sadie up when I was stuck at the hospital. Those memories did not disappear when I checked the boxes. That was what made boundaries painful. You do not set them because every memory is terrible. You set them because the good memories can no longer be used to excuse dangerous behavior. I added Camille and Miriam Calder. I had known Miriam for less than 24 hours. She had protected my children more effectively than the people who shared their blood. The following day, we met with an attorney named Helen Park. Helen's office contained no inspirational artwork, no soft music, and no bowl of candy. It contained organized shelves, 2 straight-backed chairs, and a woman who asked direct questions. Your current estate plan names your parents as alternate guardians if both you and your husband die, she said. Change it. Who should replace them? Camille Bennett. Helen turned to Ethan. Do you agree? Completely. Your mother is also listed as your alternate healthcare agent, Nora. Remove her. Your father is authorized to manage funds for the children if the primary trustee is unavailable. Remove him too. Helen studied me. Is there a possibility they will challenge these changes? Yes. Then I recommend attaching a writ. End statement explaining that the decision is deliberate and not the result of undue influence. I almost smiled. For most of my life, my parents had influenced me by teaching me that resistance was cruelty. Now the law needed proof that resisting them was my own decision. Write whatever is strongest, I said. Helen drafted amendments. We signed them before a notary. Camille agreed to become guardian if the unthinkable happened. She did not give a speech. She simply said, your children would never have to wonder whether they were wanted. I had to look away. The insurance company took 28 minutes to answer. A representative verified my policy number, address, birthday, and the last 4 digits of my identification. Your mother is currently the contingent beneficiary, he said. Would you like to change the percentage? I want to remove her entirely. There was a polite pause. Certainly. I replaced her with a trust for the children. Then I called the pediatrician, dentist, summer program, soccer league, and after-school center. Each call took only minutes. His name. Relationship. Authorization revoked. Password changed. Note added. It astonished me how quietly a family structure could be dismantled. No thunder. No courtroom. No dramatic music. Just forms. Initials. Confirmation emails. A new line of text in a database. By Wednesday evening, my parents had no legal or practical access to my children. The only remaining access was emotional. That required a different kind of work. My mother began calling from unfamiliar numbers. When I did not answer, she called Ethan. He blocked her. She emailed my work address with the subject line family emergency. The message contained no emergency. It said, I do not know who is encouraging this behavior, but I hope you remember that parents are not disposable. We made one imperfect decision during a complicated morning. You are using your children as weapons because you have always resented Vanessa. Someday Milo and Sadie will understand what you took from them. I read the email twice. The first time, I felt guilty. The second time, I noticed every missing word. No apology. No responsibility. No description of the children's fear. No acknowledgement that I had been unconscious. No concern for what might have happened. Only the accusation that my boundary was more harmful than their abandonment. I printed the email and added it to the binder. The binder was no longer an emergency folder. It had become a record of reality. That Friday, 1 week after surgery, Miriam invited us to her apartment for tea. Her home smelled of cinnamon and old books. Framed photographs covered the walls. She had taught high school history for 32 years and lived alone with Benny, the terrier who had found my children before she did. Milo sat on the carpet building a track for a wooden train. Sadie brushed Benny with a doll comb. "I need to ask what happened before you found them," I said. Miriam placed her teacup down. "I wondered when you would. Did you see my parents leave?" "Yes." "What time?" 11:20, approximately. I was watering the planters near the mailboxes. Were the children already in the lobby? Your father brought them down. Your mother was waiting near the car. The image made my skin prickle. They didn't rush away. No. What did they do? Miriam looked toward the children before answering. Your mother checked her reflection in the car window. Your father placed 2 garment bags in the trunk. Milo asked when they would return. Your mother told him not to worry and said he was old enough to watch his sister for a little while. I felt Ethan's hand close around mine. She said that directly to him. Yes. Did anyone else hear? The building manager was behind the desk. He assumed they were waiting for someone. Why didn't the manager intervene? He stepped away to inspect a leak. When he returned, the children were gone because I had taken them upstairs. Miriam hesitated. There is something else. What? Your daughter tried to follow your parents into the parking garage. Milo stopped her. I turned toward him. He was still arranging the train tracks. Why didn't he tell me? He may not want you to worry. The familiar sentence. The familiar role. My son was already protecting me from information because he believed I had enough to carry. I called him over. Mrs. Calder said Sadie tried to follow Grandma. His eyes dropped. She wanted Mommy. Why didn't you tell me? You had stitches. My stitches are not your responsibility. I didn't want you to feel bad. I crouched as far as my healing abdomen allowed. Listen to me. You are never responsible for protecting adults from the truth. Not me, not Dad, not Grandma. If something feels unsafe, you tell us every detail. Even if someone gets in trouble. Yes. He looked at Miriam. Grandma said Aunt Vanessa would be angry if they missed the pictures. There it was again. Vanessa's disappointment had been treated as more dangerous than 2 children's fear. That evening, I called my sister. I did not call because I hoped she would apologize. I called because I wanted one answer. She picked up immediately. It's about time. Did you know Mom and Dad were watching the children? Yes, but Mom said it wouldn't be a problem. When did you know? Thursday night. The night before surgery. So the photography appointment was not last minute. The photographer confirmed Thursday. Mom said she had already told you she might need to leave. She never told me. That's between you and her. No, you knew I was having surgery. You knew Ethan was away. You still asked both of them to come. I needed help with the dress. You had a stylist, a photographer, 2 assistants, and 3 bridesmaids in those photographs. They were not family. My children are family. She sighed. Not with remorse. With impatience. Nora, you always do this. Do what? Make things heavy. For a second, I was too surprised to answer. Our parents left 2 children alone in a public lobby. And they were found immediately. You are measuring safety by luck. I'm saying nothing happened. Something did happen. Milo thought he had to protect Sadie. Sadie tried to follow them into a parking garage. Vanessa became quiet. I waited. Then she said, Mom didn't tell me that. Would it change anything? She would never intentionally hurt them. That isn't what I asked. Another silence. No, she said finally. It would not change what I needed that day. The honesty was terrible, but useful. My photographer is internationally booked, she continued. I had one opportunity. I didn't know your surgery would take so long. My surgery was not scheduled around your photographs. You have never supported this wedding. I looked at the binders, forms, invitation samples, and fabric swatches still stacked in a basket beside my desk. I have spent 9 months doing unpaid work for your wedding. That's not emotional support. What does emotional support look like to you? It's not making me feel guilty for being important for one day. One day. I laughed then. I could not stop myself. Vanessa, you have been the most important person in our family every day since you were born. That is not my fault. No, but what you do with it is your responsibility. She began to cry. My sister's tears had always functioned like an alarm in our family. Once they began, everyone evacuated the original subject. I used to apologize automatically. This time, I waited. You're going to destroy my wedding, she whispered. I'm not discussing your wedding. You're one of my bridesmaids. Not anymore. The crying stopped. What? I'm withdrawing. You can't. I can. People will ask questions. Tell them I had surgery. That's humiliating. There it was. Not my absence. The explanation. The narrative. You also need someone else to manage the guest spreadsheet, welcome bags, dietary list, and childcare. You promised. So did Mom. That is completely different. It is exactly the same difference our family has always made. Your needs are obligations. Mine are optional. She called me selfish. Then jealous. Then unstable. Finally, she said the sentence she believed would end the argument. Mom will never forgive you. I felt the old reflex rise. Fear. not of losing my mother, of being declared unforgiven. Then I remembered Sadie in the lobby clutching copper while doors opened to the street. I can live with that, I said. I ended the call. The following morning, I emailed Vanessa every wedding document I had created. The spreadsheet, guest addresses, vendor contacts, budget notes, timelines. I included no explanation beyond. I am no longer participating in the wedding party or planning process. All materials are attached. Do not contact Milo or Sadie. Then I removed myself from the family wedding group. For several minutes, my phone lit up so rapidly it looked like an alarm. My mother. My father. Vanessa. 2 aunts. A cousin I had not spoken to in 3 years. 1 bridesmaid. The messages followed a predictable sequence. What happened? Your mother is devastated. This is not the time. You are punishing Vanessa. Family should work things out privately. Nobody asked what my children had experienced. My Aunt Denise eventually called from a blocked number. I answered because she had once helped me during a difficult pregnancy. Nora, I'm not calling to attack you, she began, which usually means an attack is already packed and ready. Then don't. She paused. Your mother says the children were left in a secure building for less than 15 minutes. They were alone for more than an hour. She says that is not TR. You. I have the building's security footage. That was not yet true. But the moment I said it, I realized I could request it. Denise's voice shifted. She says an adult was at the front desk. The manager had left. She says Miriam was expecting them. Miriam was walking her dog. Another silence. Every detail of my mother's story required a lie. Your mother has always struggled when she feels unappreciated, Denise said. My children are not responsible for making her feel appreciated. Of course not, but cutting contact is extreme. Leaving them alone was extreme. She made a mistake. She is still lying about it. What would you need from her? The question surprised me. A full acknowledgement. No excuses. No blaming me. No blaming the children. No mention of Vanessa's wedding. An apology to Milo and Sadie if a therapist believes it would help them. Then a long period without unsupervised contact. Denise sighed. That's a lot. It is less than I needed from her that morning. My aunt did not answer. Before hanging up, she said, I hope you don't regret this. I looked toward the living room. Milo and Sadie were building a blanket fort with Ethan. He had moved the coffee table and was pretending not to understand how clothespins worked so the children could teach him. I regret waiting this long, I said. On Sunday afternoon, 9 days after the surgery, the building manager from Lakeside Terrace emailed us a copy of the security footage. Miriam had helped me request it. The video had no sound. It did not need sound. At 11:19, the elevator doors opened. My father stepped into the lobby carrying the backpacks. Milo followed with the blue binder. Sadie walked behind him, holding copper by one ear. My mother appeared several seconds later in a pale coat, carrying 2 garment bags. They spoke near the front entrance. Milo shook his head. My mother pointed toward a bench beside the mailboxes. My father checked his watch. Sadie wrapped both arms around my mother's waist. My mother removed Sadie's arms. Not violently. Almost gently. That made it worse. She crouched, spoke to her, kissed her forehead, and stood. Then both of my parents walked through the glass doors. Sadie ran after them. Milo grabbed the back of her sweater before she reached the doorway. My mother looked over her shoulder once. She saw them. She kept walking. At 11:21, their car left the parking lot. For the next 26 minutes, residents entered and exited. A delivery driver held the door open while searching his phone. 2 teenagers came in behind him. A maintenance worker rolled a cart past the children. Milo moved closer to Sadie each time someone entered. At 11:47, Sadie stood and walked toward the door. Milo pulled her back. At 11:51, Miriam entered with Benny. She stopped so abruptly that the dog's leash tightened. She knelt in front of the children. Then she gathered their belongings and led them toward the elevator. I watched the footage 3 times. Ethan watched once. "That's enough," he said. I closed the laptop. "No, I need to remember exactly what happened when they tell me it didn't." "You have the video." I mean inside myself. He understood. For years, every family conflict had ended the same way. My mother would revise the event. My father would soften her revision. Vanessa would describe my reaction as the real problem. I would become tired, then doubtful, then ashamed. Finally, I would apologize for the tone I used while being hurt. The video left no room for revision. My mother had looked back. She had seen Sadie reaching for her, and she had chosen to continue walking. The next Sunday was supposed to be our monthly family dinner. We had hosted it for almost 5 years because my parents' condominium table was too small, and Vanessa's apartment was not designed for groups. Hosting meant Ethan bought groceries. I cooked. The children cleaned their rooms. My mother brought dessert. My father opened wine. Vanessa arrived late and left with containers of leftovers. Nobody had formally canceled dinner. I knew my mother would interpret silence as permission. At 4:30, I moved the blue binder to the entry table. Ethan noticed. "Do you think they'll come?" "Yes." "Do you want me beside you?" "I want you close, but I need to speak." He nodded. The children were in the den watching an animated movie. We had explained that Grandma, Grandpa, and Aunt Vanessa might visit, but they would not be coming inside. Sadie asked why. "Because our home has rules that keep everyone safe," Ethan told her. "Did Grandma forget the rules?" "She chose not to follow them," I said. Milo did not ask anything. At 5:07, a car door closed outside. Then another. I looked through the window. My parents had arrived in my father's SUV. Vanessa climbed out of the back seat. Them. My mother carried a ceramic dish covered with foil. My father held a bakery box. Vanessa carried nothing. They walked toward the house, as though dinner were proceeding normally. My mother reached the front door first. She took out her key. She did not knock. She inserted it into the new deadbolt. The key did not turn. She removed it, examined it, and tried again. My father took it from her. He pushed the key deeper, lifted the handle, and twisted. Nothing. Vanessa crossed her arms. Maybe you have the wrong key. My mother looked at the windows. For the first time, she understood that the lock had been changed deliberately. She pressed the doorbell. I waited until the second ring. Then I opened the door with the security chain still fastened. My mother's expression shifted into injured surprise. Nora, why is our key not working? Because it is no longer your key. She stared at me through the narrow opening. We brought dinner. I didn't invite you. We have dinner here every second Sunday. Not anymore. My father stepped forward. We need to discuss this calmly. We are discussing it calmly. Then open the door. No. My mother looked over my shoulder. Where are the children? Inside. I want to see them. They do not want to see you. Sadie had not said that directly. She had asked whether Grandma would leave again. That was enough. My mother's eyes filled. You have poisoned them against us. I unhooked the chain, opened the door fully, and stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind me. The blue binder was under my arm. Ethan remained inside, visible through the side window. My mother noticed him. So this is his idea. It is mine. You never behaved this way before you married him. I never believed I was allowed to. Vanessa gave a sharp laugh. You sound like someone from a therapy podcast. I looked at her. You knew the night before. Her face changed. Mom told me. I saw your comment. You knew Mom had agreed to leave if the photographer confirmed. It wasn't my job to manage your childcare. No, it was your job not to request both caregivers while your sister was unconscious. She could have said no. I turned to my mother. She's right about that. My mother's mouth opened. She could have said no, and she did not. She lied to me instead. I did not lie. You were dressed for the photographs when I brought the children. I always dress properly. You had pearl earrings on at 6 in the morning. That proves nothing. I opened the binder and removed a printed still from the security video. It showed my mother walking through the glass doors while Sadie reached toward her. I held it out. This proves enough. She looked at the image but did not take it. My father did. His face lost color. Where did you get this? The building manager. Nora, security footage should remain private. My children's abandonment should have remained impossible. My father folded the paper once, then seemed to realize he should not damage it. He opened it again. My mother shifted the dish in her arms. What exactly do you want? I already did what I wanted. I removed the school authorization confirmation. You and Dad are no longer permitted to pick Milo or Sadie up from school. My mother blinked. You cannot do that without telling us. I just told you. I removed a second page. You have been removed from their medical authorizations. Another. You and Dad are no longer named as alternate guardians in our estate documents. My father finally spoke. Who is? Camille. Ethan's sister. Yes. She lives 45 minutes away. She came when I called. The words landed harder than I intended. My father looked down. My mother's voice rose. We raised you. We supported you. We have devoted our lives to this family, and you erased us in a week. No, I updated paperwork in a week. You erased yourselves over years. This is about Vanessa. This is about my children. You have always been jealous of her. I had heard the accusation so many times that it had once felt like fact. Now it sounded rehearsed. When I won the regional science competition at 14, you missed the ceremony because Vanessa had a costume fitting. That was decades ago. When I graduated from college, you arrived after my name was called because Vanessa was upset about a boyfriend. You still graduated. When Milo was born, you left the hospital because Vanessa had locked herself out of her apartment. She was stranded. When Sadie had pneumonia, you promised to stay with Milo and canceled because Vanessa wanted help choosing a sofa. That is not how it happened. It is exactly how it happened. You survived all of those things. There it was. The family definition of strength. Surviving neglect was proof that neglect had caused no harm. I did survive, I said. My children double you. You'll not have to earn love that way. My mother's face hardened. You are being vindictive. Vindictive would be leaving you helpless to attend someone else's celebration. This is protection. Vanessa stepped onto the porch. You quit my wedding. You sent me a pile of spreadsheets and vanished. Do you understand what you have done to me? Yes. My invitations are late. You had the files. The caterer needs final numbers. You have the guest list. I don't know how your formulas work. Then learn. She stared at me as if I had spoken in another language. My entire family had confused my competence with a public utility. The moment I stopped supplying it, they called the outage cruelty. My father tried another approach. Milo and Sadie love us. I know. Children need grandparents. They need safe adults. We are safe. I removed the security photograph again. You left them beside a door that opened to the street. For less than half an hour, my mother said. More than an hour. Miriam found them after half an hour. You did not return for nearly 2. We knew she had them. You learned that because you finally checked your phone. We would have come back. When? My mother looked at Vanessa. Vanessa looked away. The lunch ran longer than expected, my father said. You ordered lunch after learning Miriam had taken the children. Nobody answered. I had not known that before. My father's face told me it was true. You knew, I asked. My mother tightened her grip on the dish. Miriam sent a message saying they were safe. So once another woman accepted your responsibility, you stayed for lunch. It would have been rude to leave. I laughed once. A small, stunned sound. Rude. My mother looked offended. The photographer had arranged the table. My daughter was crying for me. She cries whenever she doesn't get her way. Behind me, the front door opened. Ethan stepped outside and closed it gently. "That's enough," he said. My mother turned toward him. "This is family business. They are my children. You are encouraging Nora to destroy relationships she will eventually need." Ethan stood beside me. "She needed you during surgery. I was available by phone. You ignored 17 calls. I did not hear them. Because you placed your phone in a handbag during champagne lunch." My mother's lips trembled. "This is an ambush." "No," I said. "An ambush is discovering your children are missing after waking from anesthesia. This is a consequence." The door opened again. Milo stood inside the hallway. He held a sheet of paper. "Milo, go back to the den," Ethan said gently. "I need Mom." I turned. He came onto the porch and handed me the paper. It was an assignment from school titled MY Safety Circle. The teacher had asked students to draw themselves in the center and place trusted adults in circles around them. Milo had drawn me. Ethan. Camille. Mrs. Alvarez from school. Miriam. He had not drawn my parents. My mother saw the page. Her expression collapsed. For one unguarded second, she looked older than 62. Not dramatic, not offended, simply devastated. She whispered, "Why didn't you draw Grandma?" Milo moved closer to me. "You left." My mother pressed her lips together. "I came back." "No, Mrs. Calder came." Nobody spoke. The foil over the ceramic dish crackled in my mother's hands. My father stared at the porch boards. Vanessa looked toward the driveway, suddenly fascinated by the car. My mother took one step toward Milo. He stepped behind me. That movement ended whatever argument remained. I placed my hand on his shoulder. This conversation is over. My mother's grief transformed into anger so quickly it was almost physical. "One day you will need us. I needed you last Friday. You will regret humiliating us. I did not post the security footage. I did not call your friends. I did not announce this to the family. You came to my home and demanded entry." My father held out the bakery box. "At least take the dessert." The absurdity of it stopped me. My entire childhood could have fit inside that gesture. No apology. No accountability. But here was a pie, offered as though sugar could close the distance between what happened and what they wanted remembered. No. My mother shoved the ceramic dish into my father's hands. "Fine, let her do this. Let her discover how difficult life becomes when nobody helps her." I looked at Camille's key, hanging beside the front door. At Miriam's, number written on the emergency card. At Ethan standing beside me. At my son, holding a safety circle that included people who had shown up. "You taught me to live without help a long time ago," I said. "The difference is that now I know whom to ask." She flinched. Then she turned and walked toward the driveway. My father followed, carrying the dish and bakery box. Vanessa remained Then the porch. For a moment, we faced each other as sisters rather than assigned family roles. She looked tired, less polished than in her photographs. Are you really not coming to the wedding? No. Even if Mom apologizes. A real apology would change what becomes possible later. It would not erase what happened or obligate me to stand beside you at a wedding. People will ask where you are. You keep returning to that. Because it matters. To you. She looked toward the closed door. Do the kids hate me? They are afraid of being left again. I didn't leave them. You helped create the reason they were left, then defended it. Her eyes filled. This time, I did not know whether the tears were manipulation or pain. It did not matter. A boundary does not require certainty about another person's emotions. I never asked to be the favorite, she said. No. I didn't make Mom treat us differently. No. So why are you punishing me? I'm not punishing you for being favored. I'm stepping away because you believe the favor is your right. She wiped beneath one eye. I needed her. So did I. That's not the same. I know, that is the problem. She walked away. I closed the door. The deadbolt turned with a firm metallic click. Milo stood beside me. Are they mad? Yes. Are we in trouble? No. Can Grandma still come inside? Not unless we invite her. He considered that. Okay. Then he returned to the den. Children sometimes accept boundaries more easily than adults, because children understand rules when rules are consistent. Ethan placed the binder on the entry table. My hands had begun to shake. Not during the confrontation. After. My body had waited until the danger passed. Ethan wrapped his arms around me. I thought I was ready, I whispered. You were. I was terrified. Those can both be true. We stood in the hallway until Sadie called from the den. Is dinner here? I looked at the empty porch. No, I called back. What are we eating? Ethan glanced at me. I started laughing. Not because anything was funny. Because the evening had held more pressure than my body could contain, and laughter found the release before tears did. Pancakes, I said. For dinner. For dinner. We made pancakes at 6:30 on a Sunday evening. Milo measured flour. Sadie stirred too aggressively and dusted the counter white. Ethan burned the first batch because he was watching me instead of the pan. We set 4 plates on the table. Nobody arrived late. Nobody checked a phone and announced another emergency. Nobody made one child's needs evidence against another's. 4 plates. 4 people. Enough. The weeks after contact ended were quieter than I expected and more painful than I admitted. Relief does not erase grief. Sometimes it creates room for grief to finally arrive. I mourned the mother I had spent my life expecting. The one who might show up next time. The one who might stay until the end of a school play. The one who might ask about my pain before discussing Vanessa. The one who might choose me without being forced. No contact did not kill that mother. She had never existed. No contact only stopped me from waiting at the window for her. My father sent messages every few days. Your mother has not slept. Your mother's blood pressure is dangerously high. Your mother cannot understand how you became so cold. Your mother keeps setting places for the children. He never wrote. I left them too. I should have answered Milo's calls. I watched your mother remove Sadie's arms and still walked away. My father had survived his marriage by becoming a messenger. He carried my mother's distress to everyone except the person responsible for it. I stopped accepting deliveries. Vanessa postponed her wedding for 3 weeks, officially because of a venue issue. According to relatives, the real reason was that the planning had fallen apart after I withdrew. Several family members blamed me. I did not correct them. Every document I had created was complete. Every vendor had contact information. Every spreadsheet included instructions. What had fallen apart was not the wedding. It was the system in which I completed invisible work and Vanessa received visible celebration. She eventually hired a professional coordinator. My mother called the expense financial cruelty. For once, somebody was being paid for the labor they expected from me. Miriam became part of our routine. She picked the children up from school twice while I attended follow-up appointments. The first time, Milo asked her 3 times whether she knew the correct dismissal time. She arrived 20 minutes early. Sadie began visiting her on Saturdays to help brush Benny and water balcony herbs. Camille came for dinner every other week. She never arrived empty-handed, but more importantly, she never arrived with an expectation that I would repay her immediately. At first, her kindness made me uncomfortable. Then I understood why. Transactional families make generosity feel like debt. Healthy people allow help to be part of a relationship rather than a weapon stored for later. Ethan and I found a therapist for Milo. During the first session, he told her he should have stopped Grandma from leaving. When the therapist asked how an 8-year-old could stop 2 adults, he said, "I could have been louder." That sentence dismantled me. For years, I had believed I was responsible because I had not explained myself clearly enough, asked correctly enough, or protested loudly enough. My son had reached the same conclusion after one afternoon. The therapist told him, "Adults are responsible for adult choices." We repeated that sentence at home. Adults are responsible for adult choices. Not the oldest child. Not the quiet child. Not the child who can handle more. 3 months passed. My surgical scars faded into small pale marks. Vanessa married at the Riverstone Hotel on a Saturday in October. I knew because photographs appeared online through mutual friends. She looked beautiful. My mother stood beside her in deep blue. My father walked her down the aisle. They looked like a complete family. For several minutes, the images hurt. Then Sadie ran into the room, holding a paper crown she had made for me. "It says best mom who comes back," she announced. The crown was too small and covered in glitter. I wore it through dinner. That evening, my mother sent her first direct apology. The subject line said, "I am ready to take responsibility." I opened it after the children were asleep. Nora, I am sorry you felt abandoned during your surgery. I am sorry the children became frightened. I never intended to put them in danger. The situation has been exaggerated, but I understand that you experienced it differently. I hope now that the wedding is over, we can stop punishing one another and begin healing as a family. Love. Mom. I read it once. Then I placed it in the binder. An apology that begins with your feelings and ends with a demand is not responsibility. It is negotiation. I did not respond. 2 weeks later, my father came to my workplace. He waited in the public lobby near the coffee kiosk because security would not allow him into the clinical areas. A colleague told me he was there. My first instinct was to hide. My second was to manage him. I chose neither. I met him in the lobby. He looked thinner. He held no food, no card, no message from my mother. "I came alone," he said. "I can see that. Can we sit?" We took a table near the window. For a long time, he folded and unfolded a napkin. Then he said, "I watched the video." So did I. I have watched it many times. I waited. When Sadie reached for your mother, I told myself she would stop crying after we left. He stared at the napkin. I knew it was wrong. The admission was quiet. Real admissions often are. "Why did you go?" "Because your mother said Vanessa would never forgive us if we missed the session. And you believed that mattered more. I believed you would forgive us." The truth struck with almost physical force. He had chosen Vanessa because he expected consequences from her. He had abandoned me because he expected forgiveness from me. My reliability had not protected me. It had made me the safest person to disappoint. "You were right," I said. "I forgave you for years." He nodded, eyes wet. "I am sorry." It was the first complete sentence of accountability anyone in my immediate family had offered. No if. No but. No explanation about intention. Just "I am sorry." "I'm not ready for you to see the children," I said. "I know. Mom cannot contact them through you." "I understand. You cannot report everything we do to her." He looked toward the parking lot. "That will be difficult." "Then you are not ready either." He nodded again. "I wanted to tell you, I remember the science competition." I said nothing. "You wore a green sweater. Your project was about water filtration." I had assumed he forgot. "Why didn't you come?" "Your mother said Vanessa would refuse to perform if we weren't both there." "And you chose." "Yes." His honesty did not repair the memory, but it stopped rewriting it. "I don't know what happens next," he said. "Neither do I." "Can I email you?" "You can email. Do not ask about the children every time. Do not pressure me. Do not send messages from Mom." "I'll try." "No, decide." He closed his eyes briefly. I will not send messages from her. I stood. My break is over. Nora. I looked back. You were never difficult to love. The words arrived decades late. Part of me wanted to run toward them. Another part understood that beautiful sentences are not proof of change. Then you should have acted like it, I said. I returned to work. My father emailed once a mo. Ninth after that. Short messages. No guilt. No requests. He began therapy, according to one email, and moved temporarily into a small apartment near his brother. My mother sent letters. Some angry. Some nostalgic. Some filled with photographs of the children as babies. I stored them unopened in a box. No contact was not revenge. It was a pause long enough to learn whether change existed without access as a reward. A year after the surgery, we held Sadie's 7th birthday party in our backyard. There were paper lanterns, a rented bubble machine, strawberry cupcakes, and children running through sprinklers even though the afternoon was colder than expected. Miriam sat beneath an umbrella with Benny in her lap. Camille brought a fruit tray and arrived early to help. Milo managed the music. Ethan grilled food. I stood near the kitchen door, watching everyone move around our yard. Nobody needed me to coordinate every detail. Nobody complained when the cupcakes leaned. Nobody left because something more important appeared. Sadie opened her presents and hugged each guest. When she reached Miriam's gift, a small gardening kit with pink gloves, she climbed into Miriam's lap and whispered something. Miriam looked at me over Sadie's shoulder. Later, while we carried plates inside, she told me what Sadie had said. You found us when Grandma lost us. I leaned against the counter. Miriam, I don't know how to thank you. You already did. How? You believed the children. That was the gift I had almost missed. I had not asked Milo whether he misunderstood. I had not told Sadie Grandma loved her and therefore could not have frightened her. I had not forced them to hug people who made them feel unsafe. I had believed them. Perhaps that was how family patterns ended. Not through one confrontation. Through hundreds of small moments in which a child's reality was not sacrificed to protect an adult's image. That night, after the party, we cleaned the yard together. 4 people. 4 sets of hands. Milo collected cups. Sadie gathered ribbons. Ethan folded chairs. I turned off the lanterns. The blue binder still sat on a shelf in my office. Inside were the security photographs, legal forms, emails, old keys, and Milo's emergency map. I no longer opened it often. I did not need to study the evidence every time guilt appeared. I had learned something guilt does not want dependable people to know. Feeling guilty does not always mean you have done something wrong. Sometimes it means you have stopped doing what others trained you to do. My mother believed motherhood guaranteed permanent access. My father believed silence kept him innocent. Vanessa believed being favored carried no obligation to notice who paid for the favor. I believed strength meant enduring all of them without complaint. We were all wrong. Strength was not remaining available to people who repeatedly proved they could not be trusted. Strength was letting my children see me close a door without teaching them to hate the people on the other side. Strength was asking Camille for help. Strength was believing Miriam. Strength was telling Milo he never had to become the responsible adult in a room full of adults. Strength was allowing Sadie to say she missed Grandma without interpreting that longing as a command to restore access. Children can miss someone and still need protection from them. Adults can love their parents and still refuse to hand them a key. I do not know whether my mother will ever offer an apology that contains the full truth. I do not know whether my father's changes will last. I do not know whether Vanessa will one day understand that her wedding did not destroy our family. It simply exposed a family structure that had been collapsing beneath the weight of unequal love for years. What I know is this: my children no longer sit near doors waiting for adults who promise to return. Milo does not keep emergency maps inside his backpack anymore. Sadie still sleeps with Copper, but she no longer asks whether I will come back every time I leave for work. Our school forms list people who answer the phone. Our legal documents name people who understand that guardianship is not an honorific title. Our front door opens only for people we invite. And every Sunday evening, we set 4 plates on the table. Sometimes Camille joins us, and we set 5. Sometimes Miriam comes with a pie, and we set 6. The number can grow. That was never the danger. The danger was saving seats forever for people who used absence as proof that we should be grateful whenever they appeared. I spent 34 years believing being the strong daughter meant needing less, forgiving faster, and making myself convenient. Then I woke from surgery to 17 missed calls and discovered that strength without boundaries is merely another name for abandonment you perform against yourself. Changing the locks took an hour. Changing the documents took a week. Changing what I believed I deserved took longer. But the old key no longer works. And neither does the old guilt. Share this story with someone who has been carrying a family's weight alone and calling it love. Tell me in the comments what boundary finally gave you peace. Subscribe to After Silence Stories for more stories about betrayal, hidden truths, and the courage to walk away. And I'll meet you in the next episode.